Hi, everybody. My name is Layla, and I'm the owner of Top Financial Agency. And today, for our career finance spotlight, we are going to talk about police officers and the financial benefits that they receive. So, if you're a police officer, or if you know a police officer, or if you're married to a police officer, this is a video that you are going to want to share with that person in your life. So, right now, I'm sitting with my friend Ish. And he's been in law enforcement for 30 years, starting as a police explorer. He was hired at the age of 20 and a half, and he was sent to the academy. So he's worked multiple assignments, including patrol, gang officer, detective, field training officer, SWAT officer, canine officer, and is currently a sergeant. He's been a patrol supervisor, detective bureau supervisor, and he's currently a gang unit supervisor. At 18, he enlisted in the Marine Corps Reserve, and after 9/11, he re-enlisted into the National Guard. So he's got a total of 12 years of military service. He's also been a licensed realtor for over 18 years, and he's currently investing out of state in Arizona, Ohio, and Missouri. He holds a master's degree in public administration, and he also ran for political office. So, my friend, thank you so much for being with us here today. You've really got quite the life experience.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Pleasure to be here with you today.
I'm excited. You're going to be able to share a lot of value with people that are watching. So I'm really excited about that. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. So, to lay the foundation, Ish, can you please share the different types of benefits that a police officer might receive?
Yeah, other than police officer's pension, which now there's two types of pension systems, whether if you're PERS or whatever public service you're in, it could either be in PERS, whether it's at 3 at 50 or one of the new types of formulas, which is 2.7 at 57 or 2.5 at 55, just depends where that department negotiated that uh, retirement system in. As far as your pension goes, that's at the end of your career and you get vested after 5 years. As far as anything else goes, anything else is supplemental and it depends on what your department would offer. Most departments, for most police officers, our savings are additional or supplemental type plans are a 457B, which it would be an equivalent to a 401k. It's a defined benefit program where it's prior to taxes, pulled out of your check, and it's in the market, and it's usually handled by a third party administrator.
Okay, excellent. So, but before I continue with the next question, I really wanted to share some stats that I found regarding police officers, and you're going to know why I'm bringing these up in a moment. So, police officers are 30 to 70 times more likely to experience sudden cardiac death during stressful situations, such as altercations with suspects. The average age of a police officer's first heart attack is 46 years old. Police officers are 25 times more likely to die from heart disease than from a violent suspect. And police officers have a life expectancy that's 22 years less than their civilian counterparts. Now, the reason that I bring this up is because of life insurance. And for those that are new to watching this, I'm a widow. I was not married to a police officer. So my husband passed away in Hawaii. So completely unexpected. So now police officers have arguably one of the most dangerous jobs that we have. So after reading all of these stats, I'm really curious to know what type of life insurance benefits do police officers receive?
Well, usually that would be supplemental, meaning that it would be on top of the police officer's responsibility to get something aside and apart. This is one of the reasons why I've been doing this with you as well. Ensuring that our police officers, my colleagues, are insured properly. Most departments offer minimal type coverages. Then you have the difference between if it's a non-duty incident that happens or off duty. On duty, obviously, it would be covered. in the event something horrible were to happen, the department would pay for it. But normally, at least in my experience, and I only speak for my department, we have a $10,000 life insurance policy, which is a accidental death and dismemberment. And it's basically a group coverage umbrella type policy, probably a term policy, and it's offered as part of a compensation plan. Now, we do have the option to obtain more through our third-party administrator, or if we're educated and we have a person who comes in and educates us on the benefits of having life insurance with living benefits, it's definitely a plus, but that would be basically upon the officer's responsibility to get that.
Right. And so, because I've spoken to police officers and I have friends that are police officers, but I think that a lot of them might not dive deeply into the benefits. So in your case, it's accidental and dismemberment, meaning that you have to die in an accident in order to get the benefits, right? Or you have to be dismembered.
Correct, which takes a bigger picture because an accident can be anything. Your death is accidental, period. So it could take many nuances, but obviously it's all in the fine print of what the insurance company is willing to cover. And most of it, and I take that back. I never looked into it. I really never looked into it until later on in life. When I first started in the police department, I had a lot of mentors, and but no one really told me how or where to invest. All I was taught is put your money into deferred comp. That's where it's at, kid. And but never really knowing what deferred comp did. It wasn't until later on in life that I figured it out, and I started realizing, hey, this is not so good. Initially, now our employer does do matching funds. Now, some other employers don't do matching funds, so you have to take the benefit of what it is that you want to do. Usually sitting down with someone who is experienced in it, obviously someone who's dealt with police officers, understands the retirement system, understands the benefit, because most retirements usually occur at 65, but police officers, public service employees such as firemen, correctional officers, probation officers, and some medical fields, we can retire early, 50. And then there's a lot of nuances in there or situations that can happen. Earlier retirement, maybe disability retirement, and everything else. So yeah, so the best thing to do is to sit down and really understand what it is that your department offers you as part of your compensation package. And if not, maybe sitting down with someone like yourself or myself and going over it and understanding what the benefits are.
Yeah, correct. So I actually know a woman who her whole life really was paying for life insurance. And so she's a singer now. And she says, I've been paying life insurance. It's $13 a month. And I'm like, that seems really, really low. Let me take a look. And it was accident insurance, meaning that it would only pay out if she died in an accident. So if she died of a heart attack or of old age, it's not considered an accident. So for example, my husband had life insurance and then he had an accident rider, meaning that I would get additional income if he died in an accident. And because his death was deemed an accident because he died in a flash flood, not only did I get the death benefit payout, but the additional. So, yeah, I think it's important that we look into it and find out exactly what type of insurance it is, if it covers all types of death or specifically, only accident or this and that. So now talking about living benefits, you mentioned that briefly. So living benefits means that if you have a heart attack, cancer, or stroke, then you could use your life insurance while you're alive. But it sounds like that might not be something that automatically comes with a police officer's policy. He's got to look into it. But then it seems like it's something that he would definitely want to consider.
It's definitely a huge benefit to it. You know, the some of the I guess the butts that I hear around is that, obviously I'm too young, I don't need it. I'm covered by the department. If I get injured, they got me. And then, obviously everyone thinks it's expensive when it's really not. It's a safety net, and it's a good safety net, especially if you're a police officer, to have it. As you laid out all those statistics, yes, we are in a very dangerous position. Every day you go to work, there's the possibility you may not return. And although we don't think about it, we should prepare. And I know I didn't. And now what I'm doing in turn is educating my fellow officers about it and making sure that you're set up. I'm tired of and frustrated of seeing GoFundMe accounts or fundraisers to assist. I get it. It's going to happen, but we should be prepared for the worst case scenario.
Right. Now, two things that you mentioned that's important. Number one, you said people think that they're too young, whereas that's the perfect time that these people that we should get life insurance because the younger you are and the healthier you are, the more affordable it's going to be. Now, I got insurance for my daughters when they were 4 months old. So it's definitely a lot more affordable when you're younger. And then, okay, so then let's say that a police officer doesn't have life insurance with living benefits and he gets disabled. I'm sure disability happens quite frequently in your industry, right? So what would happen if he doesn't have this?
Correct. Well, if it's an on the job duty injury, we're covered by a labor code 4850, which basically, if it happened through the course of your employment, then you're covered. Normally, it's a year to get recuperated. It could extend, but it depend on the circumstances. Typically, it's a year. After a year, if you cannot go back, then you can use your accrued time, vacation, sick time, whatever it is that your city or state has. If not, then and if you cannot return to work, then basically for some people it equals retirement, or if your department can accommodate your disability or your uh, work status, they can put you in another position. But other than that, I mean, you're pretty limited. Uh, you know, but again, it all depends on each unique situation, and each one is different.
Okay, perfect. And actually, towards the end of this video, I'm going to show an illustration to give the viewers an example of what it would look like if they got some life insurance to supplement this. So it sounds like they might, and again, it depends on where they're working, but it might be limited to a year. They might get disability insurance. So it seems like they're not going to recoup 100%. They might not recoup 100% of their salary depending on where they work. So then
Right.
having,
And correct. And again, if it depends on the retirement system as well. If you're vested into your pension plan, then, and if you do become disabled, then you can get a disability pension. But if you're normally it takes 5 years to get vested into a pension plan. If you're under that 5 years, then normally you won't get a pension. So, there's a lot of nuances that happen, and you just gotta, learning the hard way, meaning when it happens to you is difficult to do because you have living expenses. And like you said, having a policy with living benefits can supplement your income while you're going through those that learning experience of getting disabled, or something happening to you.
Right. So then having this policy with living benefits would allow them to use that money to pay their expenses and their bills without having to use up their sick time, their retirement, and dip into their savings. So it sounds like an extra protection that they could really benefit from. And
Absolutely.
so then if they were to leave law enforcement, then they would have a 457 sitting there and they'll need to roll that over.
Correct.
Yeah.
Most people or most retirees tend to leave it there. Those that are well versed would roll it over in order to protect the principal, money that's in there, because you leave it in there, you're leaving it volatile. You're leaving it in the market. So with the market gains and losses, you could take a hit. Pulling it out, rolling it over, putting it into a product like an index annuity would support that and protect your principal balance from loss.
Absolutely, yes. And that's something that we can help them with as well. And then, so lastly, so if a police officer is looking at this, or perhaps somebody that's married to a police officer, now they're thinking, oh no, we've got to really take a look to see what our benefits are. And I had this thought earlier and I forgot to mention it. So we don't know what every police officer, the type of life insurance that they receive, but generally, as an overview, you would want to have at least whatever your annual income is, multiply it by 10 years. So that means that, especially if, let's say, you're married to a stay-at-home wife, for example, and you pass away, how long is it going to take for your wife to recover, especially if you've got kids now? Thank God my husband was properly protected because I had twins. We had twins. And when my husband passed away, my twins were 11 and a half months old. So I think it's really important that, we really take a look and see how much life insurance we have. I think it's a foundation of everything. So these are the questions that I came up with, and I want you to add whatever you think. So I would say that a police officer should consider finding out what their current life insurance coverage is, like what the amount that they have, what are their living benefits coverage. So if they get disabled inside the job or outside of the job, how will they be protected? And then find out what the retirement pay is going to be and if that's enough. So if they calculate, and of course that it depends on if they're vested or not. So they've got to do all those calculations to figure out, are they going to run out of money for retirement or not? Is there anything else that you want to add, my friend?
No, I think the biggest part is finding out what your city, department, state offers. A lot, I know I didn't know this, and because when you get hired on, you're just happy. You're happy that it's such a difficult career field to get into, but very easily can be lost, by an accident or by something out of your hands. And so by knowing what that compensation package is, it sets up your family for success. I started off very early, so I had no clue. And it took me a while to get educated on it and realize that what really mattered if something were to happen to me. And a lot of guys are single. I started single. I didn't have a family when I first started. And so, like you said, getting it early, getting it when you're young, and letting it build through time.
Absolutely, my friend. Now, where can people find you?
Instagram and Invest with Ish. They can look at my videos that I've done specific towards public service, firemen, military vets, and obviously cops and our families to help protect them. Shoot me a direct message, and I'll be happy to chat, talk about what you got going on. I also do out of state real estate investment for a second stream of income, which is amazing. Also helps us with our tax deductions, which a lot of police officers don't realize right now. There's a mega amount of overtime that all these guys are working. Some departments have mandatory, and we need deductions. Some are single, don't even have a primary residence. Let's get you in a primary resident. If you're a veteran, there's no reason you shouldn't have a home.
That's awesome, my friend. Thank you so much. And then, of course, you can reach out to me at topfinancialagency.com. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, even TikTok by the same handle name. So thank you so much, Ish, for being here. I appreciate your time.
No problem. Thank you.